Hi, my name is Philippa Vincent Connolly and I'm a historian of mainly Tudor history. I did my history degree with the Open University and currently I am a secondary school teacher teaching mostly history and textiles. I'm also in the middle of doing an MA in history, local history with the Open University again, looking at the period from 1750 to 1950, so a huge time era in this country, but mostly local, of course. I am videoing this so that you can get some information about me and what my interests are and what I'm currently doing. I have got a book coming out called Disability and the Tudors, All the King's Fools in February next year, and that's being published through Pen and Sword Books. And I'm looking at how the disabled were treated throughout the Tudor period in terms of social skills and religion, how religion looked at disabled people, superstition, and also how certain members of royalty were treated during the Tudor period when they had disabilities, thinking of people like Queen Claude of France, for example, who was closely associated with Anne Boleyn when Anne Boleyn went to serve in her court. So I've got all sorts of interest, but mainly Tudor. And I'm looking at disability in particular because I myself have cerebral palsy. I've had cerebral palsy since birth. And it's an area of history that's never really covered and not really looked at. And so I thought I'd start off my writing career looking at something that I have experience of myself, because I think it gives you a different way of looking at primary sources and discussing the subject and all the social issues surrounding that as well. Not only am I doing a book on disability in the Tudors, I'm also in the middle of writing a trilogy on Anne Boleyn, a fiction book, science fiction book on Anne Boleyn, and that's about 300,000 words at the moment, and it's a work in progress, but it's also looking closely at the sources relating to Anne and those people that surrounded her at court. And then I'm also being commissioned by Pen and Sword Books to do a book on disability in the Victorians. So I'd be looking at people like John Merrick, the Elephant Man, and looking at how freak shows and those kinds of social events and forms of entertainment affected people with disability, how the medical advances changed how disability was looked at, and also how poverty and social issues like that surrounding the disabled affected them and their way of life, and possibly look at some famous people during the period who were afflicted with disability, thinking about people like Queen Victoria's grandson Kaiser Wilhelm, who had a shriveled arm, and how that affected him throughout his childhood and adult life as well. So basically I want to get into the media side of history to be able to talk about these issues, and I think that it would be quite poignant for me having a disability myself to be able to present those kinds of issues. And I have a real passion for history. I've always had a passion for history because my grandparents used to take me to lots of stately homes and to take me to lots of places of historical interest. And I think that those kinds of developments when you're a child, to have those experiences, just brought out the passion in me to be able to look at history in a deeper way. And I think when you visit places like that and you're able to have a look at the artefacts and the paintings, you look at the people within those paintings and you wonder why they were in that position. Why did they live in the homes they lived in? Why did they affect society the way that they did? Why and how did they change the way their lives were and the lives of people around them? And I just think it's really fascinating to be able to do that, especially with things going to places like Kew and the National Archives and actually looking at primary sources. I was very fortunate last year to go to the archives at Kew and view the indictment on Anne Boleyn, where she was put on trial, and to see things like the nib of the quill of the Duke of Norfolk ticking off the jury as they came in to actually say that they were present and that they were going to sit and judge their peer to judge Anne Boleyn in this way, and to actually look right underneath the paperwork, the vellum, and actually see a calfskin bag that was made 500 years ago almost, that contained all this document, and to see the stitching on it and to see the leather, and it was just really, really fascinating. A really sort of moment for a historian where you feel as if you're in a sweetie shop. It's just fascinating looking at those primary sources, and that's another passion of mine too. So I just wanted to be able to put forward who I am and what I do and what my interests are, so that then obviously I can really advance what I'm doing and get a name for myself. Thank you very much.